In this video, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about compression socks and calf sleeves, specifically as they relate to lower extremity, knee, foot, and ankle injuries as a runner or as somebody who is cross-training or training, okay? There's a couple of myths that come together with a compression garment, specifically the compression sock or a compression sleeve, that it reduces injuries. Well, it doesn't actually reduce any injuries. It's not preventative of any type of injury, especially when you use it while training, okay? So let me unpack that just a little bit and let me talk to you a little bit about what I'm talking about. This is an example, and sorry, it's no beautiful unpackaging that's being taken place right here. So we have that CEP brand of compression sock, okay? So it's a full-length sock that comes up, and it comes up to just below the knee. So it's a below-knee compression garment that is intended to reduce swelling in the lower extremities. And just kind of as a caveat, or as a medical warning, I'm not talking in relation to somebody that has a peripheral vascular disease or an arterial dysfunction in the leg. So if you're seeing like a vein doctor and people that have compression sleeves up above the knee, below the knee, or at the thighs, that's for a medical condition, and we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about compression as it relates to performance and then as recovery, and that's probably the more important place that we're going to talk about this type of a garment is in the recovery setup, okay? So what happens is people put on these garments and then they train, all right? They cross-train, they run, they attempt to perform with some sort of idea in mind that, hey, if I do this or if I use this garment, it will improve my performance. There's no evidence to suggest that. So not saying that you can't perform better, but it's the same idea as saying if I wore a shoe, the shoe will help me to perform better. And in the same vein, shoes don't cause injuries either, right? Yes, we can have a shoe that's too old, that's worn down and broken, but that means, and when it's time to get a new shoe, it means, okay, it's time for a new shoe, but it also means you've been putting a lot of miles on a shoe, okay? On the other side of that, if I decided to go from no training to a lot of training, I'm going to be in trouble with too much, too soon, too fast, right? We've talked a lot about that before, okay? So compression garments don't necessarily eliminate that. There is some benefits to using a compression garment or a calf sleeve from time to time, okay? And then we'll go ahead and get into that. So here we have that CEP brand of compression sock, and these are very, very tight. They're very, very aggressive, and they're actually difficult to put on. There's actually YouTube videos that show you how to put these types of garments on. What the best benefit for these is in recovery. All right, so when should you use a garment, a compression garment, as it relates to your training? So if you're increasing miles in preparation for an event, half marathon, marathon, or beyond, you want to use the compression garment after your training, after you do long distance running, okay? No, nutrition, sleep, rest all come into that, but compression can help to reduce the fatigue that's into the muscles that comes as the blood is pulling in the system, right? So we exercise a muscle, lots of blood goes to the area, and then we go into the cool down, and for a lot of us, the cool downs stop, right? So we cease the activity, we stop, and then we go on to whatever we're doing. We go jump in the shower, we go to the store, we get in our car and drive, whatever it is. That's a pretty particular time to put on the compression garment to help you reduce some of that fatigue from training and to reduce the post-workout swelling, okay? And I'll get into it just a little bit on the Normatec boots, the gold standard for recovery, okay? The other component is, for example, and this is probably the biggest example that I could talk about, when the St. George Marathon takes place, that's the marathon that I would try to go to every year. It was canceled last year due to COVID. We would travel to St. George from Las Vegas the day before the event, so the event is held on a Saturday. We would travel up on Friday, stay the night, wake up, run the race, and then come home. If I wanted to reduce any kind of fatigue from travel, I would put on the compression garment during my travel. And then what the big mistake that a lot of marathoners or people who are running come into is when they go to the expo. So they go get their packet, you get your bib, you get your t-shirt, you get your poster, and then you go through the expo and you see all the Cliff Bars and all the shoe vendors and all the Bondi bands, and you see all those different types of things that are there, and you are up at it you travel for an hour and a half, 2 hours, you get up and walk for an hour and a half, 2 hours. You can actually fatigue your legs, especially as you're coming in off of a taper. So you've had buildup in miles, taper, and then you travel and go to expo. You could just put a little bit of extra fatigue on your legs that you don't necessarily want, especially if you're trying to qualify for Boston. So that would be a good time to use it. The second time to use the compression sock would be on the way home from the race, right? Let's say you did an obstacle race, or you did some sort of race, got pumped up, and you have to get in a car and travel right away. Put on the compression garment and come home, and you'll probably feel pretty good. You'll reduce a little bit of that soreness. There is some evidence that demonstrates that there is some ability to reduce soreness when you're using a compression sock or a compression type of system like the Normatec, okay? All right, now let's talk about the calf sleeves. Okay, the calf sleeves. The problem with the calf sleeve is that it leaves that area in your ankle between your calf and your foot open. Okay, so there's a compression towards the top, and then there's a compression towards the bottom. Okay, what can happen is if there's an injury to the foot, the body's not really able to take the swelling out of the lower extremity and move it out, and you might get some puffiness below, like right about where your ankle is, where there's no where the gap between the calf sleeve and your foot is, and your shoe essentially, right? So conversely, if you hurt your knee, right, or if something happens above the calf, which doesn't necessarily happen a lot but can happen, you're going to get a little bit of swelling capture between each side. So you kind of have a cutoff switch at the top and a cutoff switch at the bottom, okay? So when can I use my sleeves? You can use your sleeves when you're running and you're feeling that shin splint. And we've talked about the shin splints, and the shin splint videos are in here, as a little bit of compression in there to kind of hold and make it feel a little bit more comfortable during your run. And you might get a little bit more distance before the fatigue turns on, or you're going to wear it through the run and then post-run as well. And that compression will help keep the inflammation and swelling down so that you can recover just a little bit faster, but you still have to abide by the rules of too much load on your foot and ankle is going to be too much. If you've exceeded the load, you have to back it off and train back up for it, okay? But this is just one ability, one hack to try to reduce injury is by using the sleeve, okay, as well as the compression, okay? With regards to just kind of socks for training, they do have different types of socks out there. I just want to highlight the one sock that I've really kind of come to love here, and it's the Stance brand of socks. And I'm not a spokesperson or anything, but this is an extremely comfortable and supportive sock. It's a specific running sock that Stance makes. I tend to like the low cut below the ankle. Just my preference, okay? Like those better than Thorlo's, like those better than some of the other brands. Swiftwick's nice, but I'll take the Stance every time. Just my preference. So let me show you a little bit about the Normatec boots, and then we can see a little bit about how those work, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. Well, all right, here I am. I've got the Normatec boots on, so I'm inflating here. I'm going to start my recovery process here. Boots typically just increase pressure from the foot to the knee, and then it kind of goes into a cycle motion like that. So the ultimate recovery compression device is the Normatec. If it fits your budget, this is obviously where you want to go. From a clinical standpoint, I can use it quite a bit in people that are maybe a little fatigued, swollen, need a little bit of kind of tender love and care, if you will. But they are best used in the home so that you have them directly accessible to you. You can use them when it's convenient for you, not at somebody's clinic or while you're trying to come and track me down to get treatment, okay? So here's the good opportunity to use them. I wear them for about 20 minutes following one of my runs with which I'm doing increased miles with, so a 15 or more, a 13 or more. But it doesn't matter if you're fatigued, swollen, achy, and sore, and you want to reduce all those symptoms. Here you go, okay? So compression sock, compression sleeve, and Normatec boots. All right, well, there it is. You got some information, hopefully some good information about the compression socks, the sleeves, and then like a compression boot, the Normatec boot system, recovery system. Basically, those types of pieces of equipment are for best used for recovery, I think, in the recovery model. If you did need to perform with or train with either of the calf sleeves or the compression socks, you're able to do it. Listen, I was having some foot pain, some leg pain, and was as a physical therapist, I'm like, well, let me test this equipment and see what I think about it. I wore the compression socks and I hated them. I did not like them and they did not work for me, for what I was trying to use them for. Not for recovery, but to try to reduce an injury, okay? And we talked a little bit about that at the beginning. They're not meant to reduce an injury or prevent an injury. Got to remember that. I was able to run better with the calf sleeve when I'm having some discomfort in the calf, shin, in that area. But then I do tend to lean towards not wearing it as much as possible, okay? But I was able to substitute it for a period of time. And almost like an orthotic, it's not meant to be used forever. It was a period of time during my training that I wanted to use it, and I got rid of it. So the Normatec boots, like I said, the ultimate recovery system, really, really good for you. People who travel any kind of distance prior to a race, use those boots the night before, reduce the fatigue in the muscles, help to get any kind of swelling that developed during travel back into the system, help circulate it and get you ready for the race the next day. And conversely, either prior to your travel home or after you get home, you're good to go. So I hope you enjoyed this. Couple of my takeaways are they're not great at prevention of injury. They can be used over a period of time. They're worth investing in, especially if you want to have some compression from time to time for recovery, okay? So you're going to invest in this type of equipment for recovery, for travel, things of that nature. We're not investing in those for performance. If you have any questions, reach out to Mike the PT. I'm on the web, MikeThePT.com. Email me, and I look forward to talking to you again. Have a great day.